This is Rosen Institute's Your Law Firm, where Lee Rosen and Ned Days cover management, marketing, finance, and new technologies for building the practice you deserve. Rosen Institute members received this episode early, as well as exclusive segments on taking action to make your law firm expenses more variable, an answer to a member question about how to get AI to recommend you as the best lawyer in your area, and sessions from our Operations Outline program, all about the critically important operations of your firm. Get access to everything you're missing at roseninstitute.com/join. Here's Lee Rosen.
It's good to be with you today from St. Julian's, Malta. We flew over here from Cyprus. It's a quick, easy flight to an island that is full of beautiful people. They're lounging by the pool, they're playing on their yachts, they're wandering along the tiled walkways along the ocean. It reminds me a fair amount of Miami Beach. Big guys with big muscles working out along the ocean, yoga classes taking place on the rocky outcropping, tourists wandering aimlessly in every direction. We're in a nice hotel overlooking a marina that is filled with yachts. I know that not everyone on Malta is living the life that we can see from our hotel room, but the little bit that we are seeing, it looks pretty nice.
It's time for your tech tip. I have something very exciting for you today, a homework assignment. In fact, I have a few homework assignments coming up, but we will just take a look at the first one today. I know, the last thing you want is another task on your to-do list. But this is the kind of assignment that, if you are willing to do it, will not just save you time, but allow you to start doing things you don't have a way of doing right now. I want to start taking a look at practical ways you can begin building tools and documents for your practice with the assistance of AI. I am not going to rely on any fancy third-party products. Today, we are looking at building a custom reporting solution in Google Workspace. If you have a Google account, which I'm assuming we all do, that is all you are going to need. I want to give you a bit of a framework and some ideas, since just talking through the prompting will get a little tedious. We are going to look at a very specific functionality inside of Google Workspace for creating documents and reports from email. Now, you could start by just going to gemini.google.com and telling it the kind of thing you want to build and see what kind of options are available. Google offers a feature called Google Apps Script in Google Workspace. It lets you write JavaScript code to customize, modify, and extend Gmail, Docs, Drive, Calendar, and the rest of the Google suite. Never heard of Google Apps Script and don't know the first thing about JavaScript? Don't worry, that is what the AI is for. I went to gemini.google.com and here is the prompt I started with. Create a Google Apps script that finds the last 200 emails received in my Gmail inbox, and each time it is run creates a new row in a Google Sheet with columns for the date the report was run and the top 3 addresses that sent me the most email. Now, how did I know any of this existed? I started with a more general conversation and it led me to Google Apps Script. I'm cutting to the chase a little bit here just so we can make this experiment a little simpler. Now, when you type in this prompt or something like it, you are going to get a lot of information back. Gemini will ask you to create a Google Sheet to give it the ID of the Google Sheet. It will walk you through the process of how to add the script to your sheet and probably a few other steps. You're going to need to authorize permissions and several other things. But this is a good starting point, an easy way to get your feet wet with playing around with this technology. Once you have it working, you may want to do something a little bit more interesting, like processing emails to which you have applied a specific label in your Gmail inbox. You have a few ways to trigger these scripts that you've created. When it comes to actually running these scripts and creating entries on the spreadsheet, you have a few ways to trigger what you've just created. Ones that operate on labeling emails usually just execute when a new message is added to the label. If you want some kind of report to run on a schedule, you have a tab in the apt script editor to trigger the execution in a few different ways. When the spreadsheet is opened, when it's edited, or when a Google form is submitted and adds a row to the spreadsheet. You can also set it to run on a schedule. So if you want to check certain emails every day or week or month and have entries added automatically to the spreadsheet, you can configure that in the Triggers tab on the app script. And of course, you can ask Gemini about all of your options too. Think about what kind of reports you might want to get about your email volume, client communications. Brainstorm ideas with Gemini and let it walk you through the steps of creating something more interesting. Now, I realize this is going to feel a bit like attempting to drive a car with no pedals at first. You are copying and pasting things you don't understand, hitting a button, and seeing things magically appear. Sometimes it works the way you want, sometimes, most of the time, it doesn't, at least at first. But keep at it. You are going to hit some snags. Expect it. Ask the tool to address the problem and keep going. If you are on a paid Google Workspace plan, you can even make your script send pieces of data to Gemini for processing. If you visit aistudio.google.com, you will see a button at the top that says Get API Key. An API key is a random string of letters and numbers, kind of like a password, that allows you to call that Gemini service from your code. Tell Gemini you want to update your script to look at emails you have labeled and extract some kind of information using AI, like your client's mood or your airline points balance or event details that you want to add to your Google Calendar, and give it your API key so that it can complete the code and see what happens. This is going to take some back and forth and a lot of troubleshooting, but I think you will be shocked at what you can build in 20 to 30 minutes. I just set up a workflow to look at emails to which I have added a specific label. These are newsletters that have sections mentioning new tools worth checking out. When I label them, the emails are passed off to Gemini, which extracts the tools section I'm after and then adds it to a tab in a Google Doc rather than a Google Sheet. Now, this did take some tinkering. I had about 4 or 5 rounds of getting error messages, giving those to Gemini, having it update the code for a fix, pasting it back in, and then trying again. So don't get discouraged when it doesn't work on the first or second or third or fourth iteration. Again, I know this all feels like you are out over your skis, but that feeling will go away as you start letting the tool guide you. Ask it questions, ask it for suggestions, and let it know what you want to do. While this tip has focused a lot on this specific protocol for connecting Google Apps, I want you to use it as a springboard to think about what else you can be asking these LLM tools to do for you. They aren't just for coming up with email responses or acting like a glorified drafting tool. They can certainly do those things, but they can also help you build real solutions for automations and reporting that you've been putting off because you didn't even know where or how to start looking for help to build it. I'm Ned Days, and that's your tech tip.
And now for your moment of concise advice. The things I ignore, they always come back to bite me. The noise that I noticed coming from up in our attic, I tuned it out. The way the receptionist acted sometimes when I heard her from down the hall, I figured I could deal with it another day. The client who said things about how we were dealing with her case, I assumed that she would see the light as we made progress and that her upset would go away. Always being busy, it makes it easy to put off until tomorrow rather than jumping into it full strength today. Deferring, it is so much easier than acting. It's all incredibly easy to see, but it's all incredibly easy to ignore. There's that little crack in the dam. You've seen those cracks. Tiny, barely noticeable, no noise, no panic, no urgency. We see it, we make a note, we move on. Too busy to fix it today, too many bigger problems, too much on the list. The crack, it gets a little wider. It's still not urgent. It's still easy to ignore. And weeks pass, and seasons change. And the dam, it looks solid from up on the road. Until one day, without warning, the wall, it gives way. And what could have been patched with a tube of sealant, it now costs millions. Whole towns are wiped off the map. That's how it happens in your law firm. That's how it happens in your life. You think you're buying time by avoiding the hard thing, but you're not buying time. You're compounding destruction. The awkward conversation you didn't want to have, the tiny financial leak you didn't want to plug, the employee you didn't want to discipline, the client you didn't want to walk away from. Every little crack you ignore grows teeth, and the longer you wait, the higher the price. Pain does not go away because you look the other way. It grows interest. It multiplies. You don't beat it by being brave later. You beat it by acting now, by acting early. The professionals, the ones who survive, they don't wait for the cracks to become crises. They see the first leak. They fix it while it's still cheap and small and private. That's the difference between thriving and drowning. Deal with the small pain now or get crushed by the big pain later. Those are the only options, and that's your moment of concise advice. Wrapping up from Malta, thanks for spending a few minutes with me and Ned today. We hope you have a great weekend and an even better week next week. Keep plugging away, moving forward, and getting things done. You're on the right track. You'll get there, I promise. We're all in this together, and together we build better practices through better marketing, better management, and better technology. Until next time, I'm Lee Rosen.
Thanks for listening to Your Law Firm. Subscribe to the Friday File at roseninstitute.com and join thousands of lawyers focused on working on, instead of in their practices. You'll find safe, successful, actionable approaches for transforming your firm. Sign up for free at roseninstitute.com.